Welcome back to the Spoonie and Caregiver Live podcast with me, your host, Jordan Banderas. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of the podcast. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode, shall we? Now, not too long ago, I was listening to this interview with John and Julie Goodman. They're both psychologists, and they were talking about how a bad breakup can cause PTSD, which it kind of makes sense because obviously when you're hurt or especially emotionally, you're gonna react in a certain way to that particular trauma, right? And that made me think about my mom because like I had mentioned, my mom was divorced when I was little, and then after that she became very bitter, she became very angry and very violent. She reacts to violence. But then I also started thinking about how she was raised, how she was treated growing up. Like I don't know much about that, but some of the stories that she told me that about her childhood were like, whoa, she grew up in like the worst neighborhoods where there was no roads, and like it was like very poor areas, you know. And obviously with poor areas there comes uh like all these bad influences, things that you're not supposed to see as a child, things like that. So obviously that could have affected her. And then after listening to all of this, I was like, maybe my mom does have some sort of PTSD because of how she is. And especially because like I said, after she got divorced, she became a very angry person. So I started thinking more about it, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of us out there that are the children of somebody with a chronic illness, even though they don't know it, that they have that chronic illness, we're still being affected by it. It could be PTSD, it could be anxiety, it could be something else like diabetes or any type of chronic illness. Unfortunately, when you're the child of somebody that is suffering that, you're gonna be affected by it. In my case, I never realized it. I just thought like, oh, I will. I'm a bad kid because of the way that my mom will react to certain things. Not everything, especially not school. That's the weirdest part. Like my mom didn't really push me to do good in school, like which is weird, but okay. And it's weird for me because it's like, yeah, she never really pushed me to it. So I guess I'm kind of glad for that. But in other things, like she will always push me to help her, do things for her, to do everything for her, take care of her. Like she needed to be always taken care of. But here's the thing about this. With my mom, at least in my story, in my story, is that the way that I felt because of probably her PTSD. Like, I'm just gonna say that she has it. Probably because of her PTSD, she was very closed off, even with her own family, even with her own kids. Some of the things that will happen is that, and I understand it now. Again, like this is not to paint my mom as a bad person. It's just like this is what happens when we don't realize that somebody has a chronic illness. In this case, PTSD or some sort of depression or anything like that. Because one of the things that my mom would do after she got divorced from my dad is that she, or at least the way that I feel, she never really paid attention to us. She will always be out with her friends, like, with her boyfriend and everything like that. Like, she will leave me and my brother alone for an entire weekend. And one of the things that happened, and this is why I think it's very important to know if you're a parent, if you're suffering from something like this, is because my mom at one point she decided, I don't know when or what happened or what changed her mind, she decided to pretty much put herself first before anybody else, even her own children. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm gonna take care of myself first. No, it was more like, I'm going to do what I want and I don't care what anybody else says. Now, that might not be part of the PTSD, but that was pretty much her reaction from the divorce, which it made her do things like I said, leaving me for entire weekends, which obviously it made me feel bad about myself. And I'm not trying to play the victim. I'm just explaining this because I see this a lot. So she would leave me alone for entire days sometimes, and I would just do my own thing. So and one thing that actually did kind of like hurt me the most, and probably she didn't even know that she was doing it, is that one day I was so sick. I was extremely sick. I had a fever. I was puking. I don't know what was wrong. I don't remember exactly what the doctor said, but I was so sick. And instead of her taking care of me like she should have, she left to be with her friends. So I'm sick at home, literally feeling like I'm dying, puking my brains out, and my mom is nowhere around me. So I felt so bad because I was like, oh, my mom doesn't even want to take care of me. My mom doesn't even love me. My mom doesn't think that I'm worth it. So one of the things that did, at least for me, obviously it caused PTSD as well. So I feel like her PTSD was put or literally given to me as well. Some of her anxieties, her depression, and everything was given was given to me in this situation. So one of the things that I always tried to do was to earn her love, literally. I was trying to earn her love, which is not how it's supposed to be. You know, you're supposed to love your children no matter what. They're not supposed to fight for your love. And that's how my life has been pretty much my entire life. And one of the things that I want to point out is that if you're the child of somebody that probably has something similar like my mom, or some sort of chronic illness, especially now with everything that's going on, mental health issues have been rising for the last year since everything started. So we have to pay attention to that, because when this happens, when you have a kid and you start acting irrational, because let's say I'm talking in regards to my mom. I don't know any other cases, because my mom, this is pretty much the way that was raised. So if you're acting a little bit irrational, um, after like a breakup or anything like that, and you really don't start paying attention to your kids, that's gonna affect them. And one of the things that I think the problem with my mom is that nobody ever told her that, or maybe they did, I don't know, but nobody ever told her that she was acting irrational, that she wasn't taking care of her kids. But I've seen cases where people tell the parents, it's like, hey, you need to take care of your kid, and the parent doesn't do crap. They're like, no, I'm gonna take care of myself first before my kid, which is something that shouldn't be. And this will affect your kid very bad. And one of the things that's going to have to happen at one point, especially with the children, is that as an adult, when you're the children of somebody that's suffering some kind of illness, you're going to have to break out of that cycle. I have talked about this, and I'm just going to mention it just a little bit, but you have to break out of that cycle, because it can be abuse. Literally, it can be considered as abuse. You have to become your own self. You have to become your own self, so that way you can actually break out of this cycle. That's pretty much how I feel about what I've been doing, working on myself, like finding myself, because I always felt like I needed to prove my mom that I love her, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And I know that, especially now with all these other chronic illnesses that there are, like fibromyalgia, like debilitating diseases where you can't really spend that much time with your kid, you have to understand that you're gonna have to make or help your kid understand. And I have talked about this in a previous episode, so I'm not gonna get too much into it. But we need in order for us to be able to help our children and help ourselves, we have to talk to each other. We have to let them understand what's going on. And if you're going through something, one of the things that I recommend is literally try to find yourself, find help. Don't be discouraged because you might have to go to like family therapy or anything like that, because let me tell you this, being the children or being the kid of somebody with a chronic illness, because my mom also suffered from pain, it's hard, because my mom was always tired, and it could have been because of the repression or anything like that. So it's hard because, let's say, if I wanted to go out, she will be tired, so it was most likely a no. So what if you're doing something similar to your children right now, you have to stop and think what exactly you're doing to them. Because right now you might think like, oh, they're children, they don't they don't know what's going on, and I want to tell them. But believe me, they will understand in an emotional level that it's going to either hurt them or completely break them. Like, I'm talking about experience, from experience at this point, because my childhood literally broke me. So this is why I wanted to do this episode, and it's something important for me, because I know that we can work together to actually stop this, that for stop the next generation from being mentally unstable, from having emotional issues or mental health issues. That's what I want to prevent, because believe me, it's not easy. I don't know why adults think that their children will understand or they will be okay. No, they won't be okay. Believe me, they won't be okay. In like what 10, 20 years, they're gonna have a podcast and they're gonna be talking about they're gonna be airing all the dirty laundry. Believe me, look at what I'm doing. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. Remember, like, this is going to be hard, but if you're the children of somebody with a chronic illness and you're an adult now, just remember, like, you don't know the whole story. There's a time and a place where you're gonna have to sit down with your parents and talk about what they did, probably with a therapist, like a mediator. Or if you're the parent and you have a chronic illness, you're gonna have to stop and think how you can help your kid have a better childhood. Because in my opinion, childhood is like it's pretty much the developing years. So what you're doing right now is gonna shape their future. Like, if they feel like they're not loved, then they're gonna have relationships that are unstable. If they feel like they're not worthy, the same thing is gonna happen. Like, there's so many things that can happen. So this is why we have to work on ourselves, and especially if you have children. But like I said, that's what all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast and the new episodes, and and I love your feedback. So, but I love all of your feedback. But don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share, like, and also follow us, so we can improve the community, and we can actually grow the community. And if you want us, and don't forget to subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. We're all on every single platform right now, or I mean on all of those platforms. And if you want to share your story, don't forget to send it to me anonymously. You can do it anonymously at the Spoonie and Caregiver Life at gmail.com, or you can share it on the community so others can actually give you some support as well. And I'll leave you like always, take care of yourself and have a great day.